The Equality Court in the Western Cape has found Malema guilty of hate speech. It's a ruling that has its roots in a 2022 address that Malema delivered to his party's provincial congress, known as the Provincial People's Assembly. The court has found that comments he made during that address amounted to an exhortation to his supporters to kill the white men involved in the Brackenfell High School incident in 2020, which saw EFF supporters clash with some parents and members of the community over an incident of alleged racism at the school. The judgment held that such remarks were based on prohibited grounds under the Equality Act and amounted to incitement to harm and the propagation of hatred. The court stressed that while calling out racism is permissible, calling for racists to be killed is an incitement to extreme violence and an act of vigilantism. So let's welcome the EFF's Carl Niehaus to get his reaction to the judgment. Good afternoon and thank you for your time. I noted that you came out and said that you would want to appeal this particular judgment. Tell me what the position is exactly of the party. Are you going ahead with that appeal and on what basis?
Yes, of course. We are going ahead with the appeal, and we're doing so because we believe very strongly that the Equality Court had wrongly interpreted Section 10 of the Equality Act, and that it should have taken into consideration the broad facts that you have sketched for us as you introduced this interview. We had to deal with a very serious racist incident that happened at Brackenfell High School, where members of the economic freedom fighters and family members of students who were prevented from participating in sports activities and entering the facilities of the school were then attacked by white supremacist racists. The response that the Commander-in-Chief and President of the Economic Freedom Fighters gave 2 years later at the People's Assembly of the Western Cape was expressing a deep sense of outrage against this racism and the fact that there had been no clear action taken against these racists. You must understand our frustration. Those racists have acted in the most wanton racist manner, yet nothing happened to them. But here we have a situation where our Commander-in-Chief spoke with revolutionary frustration about the fact that there was not the necessary action taken against racists. And he said that violence begets violence. And he spoke about the violence of racism and the violence of economic exclusion. It was in that context that he spoke, and it was in that context that the Equality Court should have understood the speech that he made. But now we have a situation where those white racists have not been acted against, but at the same time, there is now a ruling against the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF, who spoke out against that racism and said we need to take strong and unequivocal action against all racists.
Do you honestly believe that another court might come to a different conclusion and interpretation of some of the words? Because part of what the court did, the Equality Court, part of what they did as they were duty bound to do was quote the excerpt that is problematic, that was being debated in that particular case. Do you honestly believe that another court might find that this was appropriate expression of what you are calling revolutionary frustration, using such words as, you must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Do you believe that there's another way of understanding these words, as they were, as they were stated by Mr. Malema at that meeting?
Yes, we absolutely believe that the appeal court in Bloemfontein will come to a different conclusion. Also understanding the principles that have been set out by the ruling of our own apex court of the Constitutional Court on section 16 of the Constitution, when it dealt with that revolutionary chant, that revolutionary song, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer." You see, you need to understand statements such as the statement that the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF made in context, and you need to understand it within the context of the revolutionary discussion that we have. As a Marxist Feminist party, the EFF understands that we need to fight the violence of racism and economic exclusion, and we cannot fight it by handing out roses. We have to exert ourselves. We have to speak strong revolutionary language. And we believe that the ruling of the Constitutional Court with regards to that particular chant, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," is very relevant also for the context of this particular issue that the Equality Court dealt with. And we believe that the appeal court will come to a different decision. You know, I'm talking to you. Let me just make this point. I'm talking to you as a white South African, a white South African who is deeply distraught by the way in which many of my fellow white South Africans continue with their racism. I understand when I sit there on the stage and stand up and sing together with my Commander-in-Chief, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," that it is not an incitement to kill specifically an individual white, but it is an expression of our struggle history on the one hand, and on the other hand, it is an exertion on us as revolutionaries to continue to unequivocally fight the fight
but
against
do these statements, though, Mr. Niehaus, as a parting shot, do they stand on the same footing, though? The "kill the Boer, kill the farmer" chant and the reasoning of the Supreme Court of Appeal, which the Constitutional Court said they will not interfere with, that said this has to be understood in the historical context, the history of the chant, as well as the struggles against which the chant is now being deployed by the EFF. That's on the one hand. But on the other hand, I'm just trying to get you to help us understand how the statements that are here that include such words as, and I quote here, "The EFF must be known that it is not a playground for racists, that any racist that plays next to the EFF and threatens and beats up the membership and the leadership of the EFF, that is an application to meet your maker with immediate effect," end quote. They surely are not on the same footing, are they? The one rooted in history of the struggle and also being deployed in current struggles, the other talking about people meeting their maker.
They're absolutely on the same footing, Julius, because you must understand the statement of the Commander-in-Chief and also that chant in the historical context of the fight against racism and the continuation of racism in our country, and the frustration that there is that this week ANC and the ANC in the so-called government of national unity fails to fight racism and fails to take action against those who are racists. I told you, at Brackenfell, nothing happened to the racists who attacked the parents and who physically assaulted them. As I'm sitting in front of you here today, I've received death threats from a certain Mr. Kukamur from the Delta organization 4 months ago. Those same death threats were also extended to the Commander-in-Chief. I took it to the South African Police Service. As I'm sitting with you here today, I still don't have a decision by the prosecuting authority on whether they will prosecute that racist who threatened to kill me and who threatened to kill the commander-in-chief.
But is
of
it
the
true, though,
EFF.
Mr. Niehaus,
We
to
must
say,
act
is it true to say
strongly
nothing
and
happened?
unequivocally against such people?
Is it true that to say that nothing happened when actually, in fact, the one person that was there in that incident, that fight that broke out in Brackenfell, the way I understand it, at least from the judgment in the summary, he was actually prosecuted, but in the end, you know, not found guilty?
Well, there you go. He was not found guilty. While there's actually video footage,
Right.
and the commander-in-chief refers to that video footage in the speech that he gave at the People's Assembly in 2022. Clear video footage of racist attacks on parents who are trying to fight
right.
for the dignity of their children. No ways to disrespect. We're not going to take it.
All right.
We will take them on head on.
Gotcha.
And the Equality Court was wrong, and we will go to the Supreme Court of
All right.
Appeals, and I believe we will get a different ruling there.
All right,
Thank
let's
you.
leave it there. Thank you for your time this afternoon. That's Carl Niehaus of the EFF there responding to the Equality Court judgment that came out. So clearly, lots more still to debate in as far as that issue is concerned.